do my January reading wrap up. This month has been very, very interesting. I did get a lot of reading done. I wound up reading 14 books, and I'm really impressed with myself. I did get really sick this month, and because of that, I could listen to really no audiobooks. I've been just trying to catch up on podcasts. So I do have 2 audiobooks I'm technically listening to. I'm still trying to listen to Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, but they're probably going to reach the end of that book soon, so I don't know if I'm going to continue listening to it or listen to it later. I have so many new audiobooks I want to listen to, so I might just try to, do my physical read of Harry Potter and the 6th book and eventually go back to listening to them because it's just a lot to listen to, and I have a lot of audiobooks I really would like to listen to. And I am still reading book 6 for Harry Potter, and I'm also reading Tales of the Shadowhunter Academy, which I really am going to try to make a dent in February. But I did get really sick this month, so I really haven't been doing a lot of listening, but I did get a lot of reading done, so I'm really, really proud of myself. And I did knock some books off my TBR, and I did some, with the Backless challenge and stuff like that, so I'll mention that. And any books that I have corresponding video to, I'll tell you guys about. But the first book that I finished reading was actually a pick from my friend Melissa, and this is part of the Backless challenge as well. And it's the Witch graphic novel series, and this is the first series of that. And I actually really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. I think it's just so adorable. I definitely will have to get the next batch of it, which I think this is a bind-up of the first 4, I think this is the first 4. So I will definitely be checking out the other ones. I don't know if I might actually have to buy these just because I want my anthologies to all work. But this was really, really cute. I really liked it, and I'm excited to check out the next one. I didn't do a review on this one, but I'm just telling you, I really liked it, and it was the first my first read of the year. And then the next book that I read was The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This was a highly anticipated book for me, and it actually does go along with the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge, which was the Backless challenge as well. But this was ugly cover. This cover is not very ugly, but the art cover that I had was super ugly. So that's why I counted this. I love this book. I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was the perfect mix of court fairies, but also kind of like what a Game of Thrones twist. And I really, really enjoyed the book. I gave it 5 stars. I do have a review on my channel as well, so if you want, go check out that. But I definitely like this more than Darkest Part of the Forest. And I have not read the extra story in here, so I will probably hopefully do that soon. But I really liked it, gave it 5 stars, and if you want more information, go check out my non-spoiler review. It was a library pick, and it is The Chaos of Standing Still by Jessica Brody. Review about this, but it basically follows this girl who she is trying to get home to commemorate the death of her best friend. Her friend has been dead a year, but she winds up being stuck in the Denver airport on New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve. And her best friend died on New Year's Day. And it basically, it's just I love books where they're trapped in locations, and I really like contemporaries that deal with grief. This one also goes to the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge and the Backless Challenge because it did come out last year, and it also worked for a book about grief. So yeah, I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. I love the setup of the book. I love the chapters. I thought that I loved the focus on the main character. It was sometimes very, very hard to be in her head because you could tell she was dealing with a lot. But I did like the structure of it, and I would love a sequel one day just because I really liked getting in her head. I loved how there was elements of mystery, but there was also romantic elements in it, and I thought it was really, really well done. So if you're looking for kind of a hard-hitting contemporary, I would actually recommend it. It also is great if you're actually stuck in a snowstorm because that's like the whole premise of it. But I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars, and it was the first thing that it's the first thing that I ever read by Jessica Brody, but I would definitely read more in the future. A review about, so go check that out if you want more information, is Zenith by Sasha Elberg and Lindsay Cummings. I got this book at New York City Comic Con, and I was so excited about it. It really did live up to the hype, in my opinion. I really liked it. I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was a great science fiction story, and I will be definitely checking out the sequel. I really liked the various point of views that you got, and I love the world building. I thought it was a super easy read, and I really had a hard time putting this book down. I know that there are a lot of negative reviews about it, but overall I really liked it, and sometimes science fiction books go a little bit over my head at points, but this book was super easy to read and I really liked it, so I will definitely be checking out the sequel in this series. And yeah, I really liked it. So if you want more information, go check out my non-spoiler review. This book also does work for the prompt for the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge. The book takes place on another planet. I will have a couple of those this year, but this was the first one that I read that I will add to that. And this did come out the beginning of the month, and I really enjoyed it. And then the next book that I read was the book that I read right as I started to get sick, and that is Love, Life, and the List by Casey West. Favorite contemporary that I read this month. It basically, and I did talk about this in a video that will be posted, so I talked a lot about it in that video, but I did give it 4 stars. I think it's definitely up there for one of my top Casey West novel that I read. I've read a couple of them, but this one definitely it's pretty high on my list. I did read one other this month. I just really liked Abby. I really liked Cooper. I like the scavenger hunt themed around this, and I like the Heartless. I loved her. I loved all the characters that we met, and I really enjoyed it. It really, really impressed me, and I was happy to read it, and I got it from the library. I will definitely be reading more by Casey West in the future. She's definitely one of the authors I want to read more of this year. And yeah, so overall I really liked it. I will be posting a video on Friday that will have a giveaway, but I talk all about the contemporaries that I read, so be sure to check that out. But overall, I really liked it, and I gave it 4 stars. That I read when I was not feeling well, and I really read a lot of contemporaries, which I don't normally do in January, but it's what happened. So, and I really did like most of them. So, but the first book that I read in one day was Foolish Hearts by Emma Mills. This was the Owl Crate book for the month of December, called Seize the Day. This was definitely my favorite contemporary book that I read this month. I loved it. It is definitely going on to my to keep shelf, and I want to read more by Emma Mills in the future. I definitely do talk about this in that Friday video with the giveaway, so be sure to watch that. But overall, I love the focus on friendships. I love the theater elements. I love the LGBTQ focus, but I really, really love the focus on the friendship. You don't really get a lot of YA contemporaries that have such a strong focus on the friendship. Romance was definitely a secondary plot in this, but I really did like the romance as well, and it was just a really, really fun read. Really, really quick. I read this in like a day as I was watching Greek. But overall, I really liked it, gave it 5 stars, and if you want more information about that, either check out the review on my blog or check out that mashup review where I talk about all of the contemporaries that I read this month. And then the next book that I actually read was Lucky in Love by Casey West. This book came out over the summer, and I gave it 3.5 stars, 4 stars. Definitely wasn't my favorite contemporary book, but I did like it. It basically follows this girl named Maddie, and her life is kind of turned upside down when she wins the lottery. And you deal with like a lot of like harder issues, and I would have liked to see the relationship between her and the boy a little bit more in this book, but I thought that it did deal with the harder issues really interestingly, and I was impressed by it. It was a really, really quick read, and I definitely enjoyed it. So if you're looking for kind of, I would say I would not call this book fluffy, but I did like how it looked at how winning $1 million doesn't just change your life for the better, and I really like that, but I would have liked to see a little bit more of the connection between the romantic love interest in this book. But I gave it 4 stars, 3.5, 4 stars, and that's my thoughts on Lucky in Love. And then the next book that I read was Little Black Dresses and Little White Lies by Laura Stampler. This is actually, I'm giving away a paperback copy of this book, so go check out that Friday review again. But this book was adorable. I gave it 4 stars. It basically follows this girl named Harper, and she is invited to be an intern in a Teen Vogue magazine in New York. The only problem is she is asked to be a dating blogger, and she has had no dating experience in her life. And to get this internship, she basically stole a story from her best friend's life. But it was a really, really fun novel. I thought it was super fast-paced. Kind of was like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days meets The Devil Wears Prada. I really enjoyed it. I loved, all the New York stuff that happened. I loved the boy, and I really, really liked it. I really enjoyed it. I could definitely see this book getting a sequel. I know it came out recently, so I don't know if we're going to get a sequel, but I would definitely check out a sequel, and if you want to win a copy, check out that video on Friday. And then the next contemporary that I read was The Names That They Gave Us by Emery Lord. I got this recently from Book Outlet, and overall, I really like this book. I definitely like books that deal with harder issues, and I did talk about that in the mashup, But it was a really, really emotionally gut-wrenching book, and it was really, really well done. I definitely did like all the characters, and I definitely did like Lucy. I love the focus on grief. This is another book that has to do with grief, and also all of these books have to go with the Backless challenge as well, because they all came out not this year. But I really liked it. I will say the ending is super open-ended, and I know that sometimes people don't like that. I really had a lot of issues with the ending just because I wanted to know what happens. But overall, I gave it 4 stars. I just wanted more. I wanted to know more about the characters and the camp she went to, the people at the camp. But it was really, really well done, and I gave it 4 stars, and I definitely will want to read more by Emery Lord in the future. Because of the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge, and I pulled this book and Foolish Hearts out of my TBR jar. So I read White Rabbit by Caleb Roerig, and this book does not actually come out to April, but it corresponds with the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge because it's a book that has an animal in the title, and I really liked it. It follows this guy named Rufus who is called to help his half sister, and she has had a crazy night, and when he gets there, he finds that her boyfriend is dead, and she has no idea what happened. So it basically follows him trying to solve this mystery, and you basically get various timelines of events. I really like the LGBTQ focus. I thought it was a really, really fast-paced mystery that dealt with a lot harder topics, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars, and I would definitely consider reading more by Caleb Roerig in the future. I do have a non-spoiler review, but you will have to wait for that until April to see it, but I will be posting it in April, so keep a nose out. But overall, I really liked it, and I will definitely want to read more by this author in the future. When I started to not feel well, I started to read The Warrior Heir by Cinda William Chima to go along with my reread, and I could not focus on it, so I put it back. But then, towards the end of the month, I finally wound up finishing The Warrior Heir by Cinda William Chima, and I really enjoyed it. As I had read it before, but I definitely think if you do not read a lot of fantasy, this is a great starter fantasy series, and I will have a non-spoiler review about this coming up, I think, next week, so keep a nose out for that. But overall, I really liked it, and I'm excited to read the next book in the series because that's definitely my favorite, and eventually move on to books that I haven't read yet. But overall, I gave it 5 stars, and I really enjoyed the reread. Along with my pop sugar, my resolution goals, I wanted to read more short story anthologies. So the short story anthology I read the entire month was Meet Cute, edited by Jennifer L. Armentrout and a bunch of other authors. I do have a non-spoiler review that will be coming hopefully next week for this and a blog post, so go check it out. But overall, I gave this book 4 stars. I really, really enjoyed it. I think my favorite stories in this that I talked about in that video was definitely Siege Etiquette, The Department of Dead Love, and The Dictionary of You and Me. But definitely check out my blog post because I do individual reviews and in my video I do talk about most of the stories. But overall, I really liked it, and if you're looking for a super cute anthology, I really liked it, and I actually do like reading these stories in between my books because it's kind of like a palate cleanser, and I will definitely be continuing that trend next month. For the month of January, actually, has a funny story with it, but it is Honor Among Thieves by Rachel Kane and Anne Aguar. I was actually frantically trying to finish this book before I did this video, and I thought I lost it. Turns out it just fell beneath my bed, so I didn't actually lose it. But overall, I really like this. I thought that this was a really interesting and well done science fiction story. I will be doing a video review about this later in February once I finish a couple of my other science fiction stories. But it definitely is a cross between Illuminae, Unearthed, and The 100, the TV show. So if you like all those, I highly recommend this. There are some found documents in this, but it's not the priority. I thought the main character was a really interesting point of view to be from, and I really liked the progression in the plot. Again, sometimes science fiction stories go a little bit over my head, so I did get a little bit lost in the details and the world building, but I will talk about more of that in my science fiction reviews, so check that out in February. But I really enjoyed this, and it comes out the middle of February from Epic Reads, so be sure to check this out. Overall, I really enjoyed it. So those are all the books that I wound up reading for January. I thank a lot of this to getting sick because I read a lot. But overall, I really had a good reading month, and I was happy that I was able to stick with both my backlist, my Pop Sugar reading challenge, and a couple of my book resolution goals. I'm getting rid of at least 6 to 7 books out of this month. I'm only keeping a couple, which again is going with my on haul plan. So I will try to give you guys numbers like every 6 months, but so far so good. Let me know in the comments what was your favorite book that you guys read in January and why. For me, I think I really did like Zenith and The Cruel Prince. I think that those were my two highlights. If I had to choose. But let me know in the comments what book you were excited about, and be sure to check out my giveaway on Friday. I hope you guys are having a great week, and I'll talk to you guys later.